Good morning. Welcome to a little bit of woo woo. I'm your host, Jill Thomas. It is 7:30 a.m. Pacific on December 2nd. I want to talk about the energy of December, and wow, it's chaotic. First things first, entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial planner. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm none of those things. And sometimes I am just plain wrong. Most of the time I'm right, but sometimes I'm wrong. And it's very clear that I want to make it clear. I want to make that clear. So entertainment purposes only. Okay. December is a really mixed bag of energy. When I tune in, I can feel a lot of chaos. I can feel a lot of opportunity, lots of opportunity. I can feel a lot of emotional things for a lot of people. And I also feel like a lot of what's happening now is going to be spilling into January. So when I tune into the energy, it's almost like I'm talking about 2 months, December and January. And you guys will see what I'm talking about in a minute here. But I feel like a lot of what's going to start or has been started already is not going to get any kind of conclusion, or we're not really going to see what's happening until more January energy. So first thing I want to talk about is politics. Politics are tough because I do feel when I look at the book of politics, I feel like there's still a couple of chapters to be written yet. But I don't know that the outcome is going to be any different. So if you're one of those people that's hoping that there's some situation that changes everything, I'm not sure about that one. I will tell you that when you're an intuitive and you have a strong opinion or a strong wish for something, sometimes that wish or that issue or that intention ends up making it a little bit of a blind spot. So my personal preference that Harris become president may blind me to a bit to other things coming in. Although, conflict events, I don't seem to be blinded to that. So I don't know about that. But we have to go with what is presented in front of us and what appears to be the case. Having said that, when I tune into the energy of the House and the Senate, and I ask the question, like, how much is we'll call him 45, because that's what other people are calling him. I kind of like that, actually. How much is 45 really going to be able to get done? And what I see is, I'm reminded of my years in sales. Those of you who've worked in sales before know this is true. Sometimes the difference between getting a sale and not getting a sale comes down to, I just don't like that guy and I don't want to buy from him. I feel like that may be the case here. I feel like there's a lot of people that just don't like him and don't like what he's done. I don't like the way he's done it. And that there may be a lot of cock blocking. Is that an appropriate word? I don't know. It's probably not, but go ahead. I'm just going to use it. Okay. A lot of, I'm not going to let him have what he wants because I don't like, as spite. It feels like spite. It feels like a lot of spite energy. Having said that, if Harris was president, I don't think it would be any different there either. I do feel like a lot of the things that scare us the most, that keep some of us up at night, I just don't think he's going to be able to get that done. I just don't. And I do feel like, he'll try some executive orders. They'll be blocked by the courts. I feel like there's a lot of guardrails and a lot of people that really just don't want to help, don't want to participate. Yeah, but I have every faith that 45 will manage to throw into the mix some even less qualified and even more scary looking cabinet proposals than the ones we've already seen. But do I feel like that's going to make that much of a difference in what's going to happen necessarily? I'm not sure about that. I do feel personally very confident, and I have a lot of faith that what is in the highest and best good for all of us will happen. And I have complete faith in that. I also feel that I'm not qualified to determine what that is, what the highest and best is. I will say personally and professionally, and my spirit guides have said over the years, is that sometimes the person that appears to be bad isn't really bad. Sometimes the person that appears to be good isn't really the good guy in the story either. And sometimes even the person that appears to be not so great can still score an own goal. They can still do the right thing accidentally. So I would just leave it at that, and I would shift your attention to the things that you want. So one of my mentors, Michelle Mache, said in a recent video that we need to shift our focus from what we fear to what we want. That's what I would encourage all of you to do right now. I would encourage all of you to start thinking about the things you want, asking the questions. What do I want to create in 2025? Because the energy around in December, particularly right now, I can feel it. Very much disruptor energy, very much chaos energy. This is the energy that creates inspiration, you guys. This is the energy that gives you an idea for a new business, a new plan a new job opportunity. I see a lot of new opportunities coming to people who are just open to receive them, who are going, well, if you send me an email about this opportunity, I might consider it. Now is time to consider some things. Now is time to start thinking about writing that book. Mercury is in retrograde. Today's the second. I think it's in retrograde. I think until the 15th, if I'm not mistaken. So, maybe not sign a lease today, but start writing things down. Start looking at what you want and shifting away from the news. Oh my God, the news. Don't. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to be able to help not knowing what's going on in the world. And I'm not saying you should hide away from what's going on in the world. I wouldn't watch the news. Just the narrative is so biased. Pretty much every channel, and it's biased in a different way depending on which channels you watch. But there's an opportunity here for you to use that chaos to create something new for yourself, something that'll make you happy, something that'll make your soul happy, something that will bring you more prosperity. It's a lot of disruptor energy, and that disruptor energy is very good for creation. It's like the tower in tarot. You have to kind of shake things up in order to create something new. So entertainment purposes only. If the question is the stock market and the bond market going to go up or down, the answer is yes, up and down. And it's going to be a lot of that. You guys know, those of you who trade know that December, there's some things that happen in December that don't happen the rest of the year, like people selling stocks for tax purposes, some rejiggering of portfolios, portfolio managers redoing it. And also in December, a lot of people are off. So there's a lot of the inmates running the asylum. I wouldn't take too much stock on what's going on in the stock market in December. I do think there's an opportunity for an all new high. And I think there'll be correction next year. But I will talk about that in a future video. Again, not a stock planner. Talk to one of those. Shocking world events. Geez, I hate to talk about this one because I've seen it very clearly, but you already have seen in the news. There's been some missiles. I think that escalation is going to get worse, and I do think we're going to be seeing that in December and January. So what does that mean for you? Most of you guys are going to be seeing this stuff on TV, and you're going to be shocked. What do you want to do about it? Go find your bunker. Some of you have a bunker. I know somebody does because somebody's putting it in the comments sometimes, which I find very funny. Emotional eating, time-honored tradition. Nobody's going to judge you for that. Drinking alcohol, wouldn't recommend it. Causes more problems than it's worth. But, again, back to taking that fear energy and turning it into, what do I want to create? Do you have an idea for a product? If it's raining, the best thing is to put on a rain jacket. Even better, figure out how to create a better umbrella and start selling them. I'm just saying. World events are going to affect that stock market, the bond market, particularly the oil market. You're going to be seeing that. I don't necessarily see the price of oil going up. I actually think it'll go down. But, not gospel in that. It's not time to go fill up your truck yet. Just kind of shift your focus away from those investments and just know that sometimes what happens in the news is what's causing the stock market to go a little crazy. It's not really based on fundamentals. It's more based on narrative. So I want you to start thinking about connecting with your community, focusing on being around your community, thinking about how you can help people, how you can help the people in your community, how you can connect with people that are like-minded, particularly in things like, I keep getting, the guys keep showing me this. A lot of people need to start looking at some trade shows or some new training. Expo West, Natural Products Expo, for those of you who are working the healing arts, maybe it's time to register for that. It's in March. Start looking at trade shows, additional trainings, things you can look at for next year just to get that energy moving. It is time to do a lot of research on new things, new ideas. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling trapped and you're feeling scared, it's time to shift that. Go for a walk, take your dogs and your cats with you, but start to look at other things. I do see a lot of people, like I said, new job opportunities, new careers, some people contemplating some pretty big moves, like physical moves. I also do see a lot of new people getting new pets, dogs and cats and things coming in. I'm excited about that. I thought that's a great idea. I wanted to address a question that's been coming up a lot from my clients because I, hypnotherapist and I do psychic readings. And a lot of my clients are healers and they're worried about censorship. They're concerned that it's going to be worse under one administration over another. I will tell you, when I've tuned into this issue, that I don't necessarily think this happens on the presidential level. I don't necessarily think it's going to be different either way. There's already been a lot of censorship, and it's way worse in other countries. You guys, if you have friends in the UK or in Germany, ask them what's going on there, or Canada. Ask them about censorship. They'll tell you some real stories. I mean, those of us who post YouTube videos, all of us have had a video dinged, gotten in trouble. That happened. That's been happening, guys. That's been happening. A lot of us self-censor. Even now, I'm trying to think of ways of saying certain things without getting in trouble with YouTube. That's part of the process. I just don't think that one particular leader is going to be better for that or another. 45 might actually be better, but I don't know. I can't say either way. I just think that's kind of going to be a part of what's happening to us. There are new and optional new options in terms of social media that you can look at. Time to do some research, maybe on Blue Sky. I'm looking at Patreon and Substack right now. If you guys have any opinions on which one of those is better, if you put it in the comments, that would actually be really helpful for me. So thank you. I'm trying to decide between the two of those. But looking at those kinds of things are what I would suggest. I think there's other more important things to worry about than censorship. I think that's just been happening, and I think I don't think that's gonna change. I hate to say it, but I just don't think that's gonna change. But I might be wrong on that. One thing I will say personally, I do watch a lot of macroeconomic shows, and a lot of those just have gotten in trouble for saying that stuff's going on economically that the main narrative that goes against the main narrative. So I would just say, just know that some of that stuff is getting pulled, and that kind of censorship is already happening, and it's been happening. Last thing I want to mention, because it comes up a lot, it's coming up a lot with clients. A lot of clients are, particularly after Thanksgiving, contemplating family issues, having to deal with toxic family. They're starting to realize that some family is toxic. I have clients considering the no contact approach to dealing with really toxic family members and asking if that's a good idea. Perhaps talk to a counselor about that, but I will say personally, I've had to do it with members of my own family who are there is no healthy interaction with them. And it feels so good. So liberating not to be dealing with a person who's just mean and lies all the time. So I wouldn't be afraid of that approach. Let's put it that way. And for some of you, if you're dealing with narcissistic family members, you really do need to look at that. You can get some help, read some books on the subject. I would highly recommend that, because that narcissism is coming up to spotlight more. I'll talk about this more in my video on 2025, which I'm working on right now, but there's going to be a lot more cult activity. We've already been seeing there's a lot of disclosures on cults. HBO has some great specials on that right now. But we're going to be seeing more and more of that, particularly as things get complicated. That's why I would love for you guys all to buy the book Cultish. I might actually have it back there. Highly recommend it, just so you can understand how this works. I'll talk about it a little bit more later, but there will be more of this type of thing. That's why I'm encouraging you not to get too caught up in particular narratives, particularly if it's something that you really want to be true. That doesn't mean it's necessarily true. And sometimes you do have to deal with what's in front of you. The last thing I would say too is that, embrace people that think differently than yourself. I have always said that the clients I've gotten the most out of as a hypnotherapist and a psychic reader are the people who look at the world differently than me, particularly politically. I love that, because I gain some insight into why they think that way. And I certainly don't think, well, they're stupid. I mean, I hate hearing that, because we all need to be talking to each other. The media is trying to split us up and make us think that we're against each other. But when you have a conversation with somebody, you discover that that's not true. There's a lot more in common, a lot more common ground than you might realize. And I would encourage you to embrace that, because we're going to be going through times where we're really going to need each other in lots of ways. And your neighbor who's got flags on their lawn that you don't approve of, they could still be your good friend. Obviously, if they're a jerk, maybe not. But that's true for either party. I'm just saying, I want you to embrace that. I want you to enjoy life. I don't want you to look at December and be afraid of it. I want you to look at it and think, what do I want to create in January? Because you're going to be planting some seeds now. Enjoy the holidays. Look for some great trees. And just feel good about life, and go for some walks and start planning. And try not to watch too much of the news. I'm just saying. Okay, thanks for your support, guys. I'm so grateful to see you. I really appreciate all of your support and all of your visiting and writing nice comments. That's so grateful. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.